Are we live? Let us know if we are live because we got to talk about the final episode of Hard Knocks, the thing that when it was announced, we got so excited for. And then we were told that it wasn't going to be that good. And then it was that good. And now it's over. So let us know if we are live so we can talk about it. Final episode. So again, let us know if we are live or else we can't talk about it because I really want to talk about it. All right, we are live. We are live. How's everybody doing? Justin, before we get into all of this, I'm going to tell you an emotional part of this for me is that when it was like they finished the draft and had the draft party and some stuff, I got the same exact feeling again that I get when the draft is over. And it's like this emotional, like you put so much work into it, it's over. People enjoyed what you did, all that stuff. So I feel like we need to have our own post draft party on the Sunday night after the last episode where we get Grump, whoever was involved, we get together and celebrate the draft process.
Yeah, and they did it at Tommy's Tap and Tavern, which I love.
Maybe
Tommy's
we'll just
Tap
go
and
there
Tavern.
next year.
You never know who you may run into. I love Tommy's Tap and Tavern. I actually just went on, what's today? Is today Monday? I went on Sunday. I went on Sunday night. I got the trifecta flatbread, very, very good. Pesto.
Is this an ad?
Anyway. No, I love Tommy's that much. I'm a reward member. I give my phone number every time I go there. So wow, the New York Giants.
You're a reward member. Wow, you do like this place.
New York Giants be just
Only
like
place
me.
I'm a reward member is Duncan.
And
no ad for that either.
And you want to know what was another reminder of New York Giants be just like me? They had the Nick playoff game, night one, round one in the NFL draft. They had the Nick playoff game on. So New York Giants really be like me. And we had 6 TVs on our live stream rounds too, and they have a lot of TVs. So really, I'll tell you what, I understand. Like I'm gonna say this with the full on intention of, like, okay, yeah, like we're quote unquote, we work in quote unquote media, right? Fan media. And they do football, they breathe football, they speak a different language, and they're really good at football. And in comparison, we are not good at football.
Can I say something?
The conversations that they have, though, I do have a, like, you know what? That actually be like us.
Really, the only big difference is when the coaches are meeting about scheme and stuff, right? That's when they make a real big difference. It's when it's like the scouts and draft. It is actually pretty similar. But let's do like the serious like takeaways on this one. Again, more of a feel-good episode to end it off, which I'm fine with. I thought the series gave me way more than I wanted, and I was kind of expecting this. So we got how they went through the draft. Obviously, the first round, we got the majority of their ideas on that. But it was clear, made clear that Malik Nabers, they had a pretty solid margin of him over Rome Odunze. Like they're not sweating out the Chargers if that's the case, and Brian did, Joe Schoen. I think Joe Schoen might have been the only person in the building who had Marvin Harrison Jr. as his wide receiver 1, because Mike Groh had Nabers wide receiver 1. He said your wide receiver 1 to Brian Dable, so they get him. Other stuff on that. Said to Brandon's like, Brandon Brown, you said we need more dogs, so they did that. And they didn't show all the trade calls, but the one that they did, I like that they didn't accept pick 15-46 in the second round next year from the Colts.
Yeah, they teased the whole Joe Douglas thing, but we never heard if there was an offer from the Jets. So yeah, but the Colts called, and that was even thrown around that they wanted Malik Nabers, right? Like that was like a rumor that was being floated around. But that offer was not good enough, and Joe Schoen was not. Like I'm pretty sure Joe Schoen in all the 5 different scenarios that he was talking about in the previous episode, in episode 4, I think he was talking about like, all right, well, we have scenarios when moving back to like pick 12, so I guess 15 was just too far back.
Yeah, and again, I'm glad. But the second round pick is actually the thing that we got really the most meat on, right? Because they were clear, we want Kool-Aid McKinstry or Kamari Lassiter. Now, the Kool-Aid part of that I like. The Lassiter, I wasn't a big fan of Lassiter. I had him as a third rounder. But you could tell that they really wanted that cornerback too, right? And you could tell it really bothered them that they weren't able to get one of those 2 guys, because they just viewed them ahead, right? And I look at the guys in between that and pick 70. You had Ennis Rakestraw, Renardo Green, but Ennis Rakestraw was really the only outside corner that went in between those 2. So they didn't have Rakestraw, someone that was worthy of taking there. It was just those 2 guys of Kool-Aid McKinstry and Kamari Lassiter. And then obviously ended up with Tyler Nubin, who was their third choice.
Yeah, and Joe Schoen mentioned that they have a couple different color designations, and Doug Analytics did a good job of covering that. And then also he tweeted out the full draft board and all of the corresponding colors that the Giants have. So Bobby, if you actually want to look at that, it's on Doug Analytics. He tweeted out 20 minutes ago, where we have confirmation that blue is all around good leader, teammate, person. Red is medical concerns. Purple is character concerns. Javon Baker had purple next to his name.
Purple is character concerns,
according to Doug Analytics. And
that makes sense with Baker.
And then they had pink, gray, which we don't know, or Doug doesn't know.
They don't have red on Johnny Newton.
And then they had yellow on Joe Milton at round 6, pick 193. And my guess is positional change. But that's just a guess. So we don't know what pink, gray, and yellow mean. But the Giants do label a lot of their, a lot of players with color coordination, and they gave Tyler Nubin the blue designation of being a leader. Shane Bone mentioned multiple times that a guy that's going to come in and contribute right away, guy that's going to come in and be a good leader and be a good dude and all-around person, which we know that about Nubin.
That's pretty interesting. Wow. I kind of loved it. I'm looking at Doug's tweet right now. Go follow Doug Analytics, give him a little bump. That's pretty interesting.
They had Kool-Aid coded as a medical concern and Lassiter as blue.
And no medical concern on Johnny Newton. I think they figured that Johnny Newton would be off the board, and that's why I didn't talk. But here's another thing. Here's the one negative I have, because I haven't had many negatives from this, is that it's so clear they just draft for position and need. They draft for need so much, right? And I remember my draft speech before the 2022 draft, because they had all these picks when they had all these holes. It's like, look at this Colts draft that everyone talks about as a great class. They took this. They had 11 picks, and I think they took 5 positions in those 11 picks. Try and get good players, and even brought up the Justin Tuck. Like, yeah, he wasn't really a need for us, but he was our best player available, so we just took him. And guess what? That ended up, you don't win 2 Super Bowls probably without that guy. So that's the only part I didn't like out of this. But I would have taken. So if the guy taking Johnny Newton off the board, because I genuinely think, one, maybe they just wouldn't have taken him, but I don't think they thought he was going to be there. Out of the guys that went between there, it'd be like Kool-Aid was 1, Jackson Powers Johnson was 2, Haynes I had higher 3, and then Nubin, and then it would have been. I would have been disappointed if we got Kamari Lassiter, honestly, in the second round.
I didn't do a write up on Lassiter.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
So
which maybe that's bad on me, but
yeah, well, we can't get write ups on everybody. I don't think we even talked about him in the cornerback preview, because I just didn't want. His game is kind of boring. Everyone just brings up that one big hit he had against South Carolina or something.
Yeah, I will say to the need critique, I think the only time that it really hurt him was in 2022, where literally they just had 11 picks and they almost drafted 11 positions. Whereas the last 2 years, I think need has matched value in terms of the players that they've picked. So, yeah,
well, this year, Drew Phillips may have not done that,
right? Drew Phillips, and we've disagreed with that, but that's one pick out of how many picks have they had the last year.
And then the year before. But yeah, maybe JM. Like, again, one of the things we criticized last year was like they went into the draft with a total like, hey, we don't even have a center on the roster type of thing. Luckily, JMS was there.
Yeah, but even like you would have taken JMS in the second round.
Yeah, no doubt. But I also like, what happens if JMS goes 56? Then what are you doing? Type of thing. Right. It was just I didn't like that plan. I think they should have brought back either Feliciano or Gates just to have that insurance. The third round, they didn't really tell us anything. Number 1 trade is toughness. 4th round, just like Theo Johnson, straight dog, edge to him, ready to scrap, explosive stuff we know about Theo Johnson.
Yeah. I like to hear like who was it? Was it Brandon Brown or somebody was talking about all the people in the building that have raved about Theo Johnson, Dennis Hickey, Brian Dable, Joe Shane, the area scout, and then I even was in my head being like Bobby Skinner, I added Bobby Skinner to the list. So it was cool to hear just the consensus being like, yeah, everybody that looked at Theo Johnson, everybody that talked to Theo Johnson, like consensus up and down in the building is we really like him and we're glad to get him. And Bobby Skinner was glad to get him.
How easy was it that I called? I was like, oh, great. Justin's going to bring up the Tyrone Tracy analytics for explosive play. And less than a minute later, you posted the clip on Talking Giants with the eyeball emoji. It was way too easy to call that.
Yeah. Sorry. You know me well. We've known each other for
I don't know. I think you cited a lot of those stats on our draft recap pod.
Yeah. They be just like me.
Yeah, they're just like me for real. The one part I really wish we could have heard, like the draft process, like I'm fine with them putting that much out. I really wanted to hear some of the year-end review with the scouts. Like that would have been some really cool information to hear on like what they, constructive criticism, not saying they had to.
It seems a little personal. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, they didn't have to show them like giving the worst, review to their worst scout or whatever. But if they gave like their, like even if they just show good stuff, like what was the really good things that they called out besides just like you're a good teammate, you're humble, blah, blah, blah type of stuff. Like that type of stuff. But we kind of know that Shane, it's a good year. Good time that it's a good thing they did it this year instead of 2 years ago where, Joe Shane fired,
oh yeah, everybody after the draft.
The day after the draft. Let's see. They didn't say anything about Darius Wallace, who's been struggling in coverage.
They gave him blue. They gave him the blue chip.
How about that? Guy's a leader. His trainer messaged me today. How's he doing? I didn't have the heart to tell him that he's struggling in coverage. It would be funny if they went back and just put the blue chip on every single. What did they have for Theo?
I don't know. You have to check. They did not have blue on for Malik Neighbors.
Theo was white.
Yeah, we don't know.
They did throw
Odunze,
which obviously lines up with what they have said and thought.
They have gray in there too, and I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know either. But yeah, Adonai Mitchell was a character. Yeah, it was pretty, or not character. Health concerns. So it's pretty cool that we've got that information out there. And Javon Baker in purple does not surprise me at all. Nate Wiggins is a surprising purple. Jermaine Burton's an obvious purple. Xavier Thomas, yeah. So I don't know. What do people want to talk about? We're only 12 minutes in.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've replayed the final sequence of where that remix of Back in the New York Groove, and they're integrating Dable in there and Jones and like that final 15 seconds.
Oh,
I've replayed it 3 times, and I'm jamming on the couch at 9:30 at night.
Oh,
I'm fired up.
I tweeted like as soon as it was over, I was like, damn it, man, let's win some games because like I want to freaking win some damn games. Like I'm tired of losing. I hate this losing crap. Yeah. And I knew that you would love I love the Back in the New York Groove too, but I knew that you were gonna love that.
I want to hear a little bit more of it this year. That's always a big ask at the beginning of every year. Is I miss 2014, 2015. I even going back to 2011, where the Giants did score offensive touchdowns and it was fun. Guess what song would come on after every offensive touchdown scored at home? It would be Back in the New York Groove. And the song, whenever it's come on, you've had to enjoy it because you don't know the next time that it's gonna come up. There was a point in 2000.
Who's going to score the first touchdown of the year?
Who's going to score the first touchdown? So it's a home game. Theo Johnson.
I was going to say the same thing. How about that? They're going to do some crazy scheme up for tight end thing. It's going to be Theo Johnson, and I hope it's not where you. Who was the last rookie player to score the first touchdown of the season? I don't know this as a fact, but it's
Sterling Shepard 2016.
Yeah, I think it is Sterling Shepard 20. Or no, Saquon versus the Jags.
Yes.
So I gave you trivia, and I didn't know the trivia right off bat. But Saquon or Shepard is more memorable because we won that game. And you're like, we do have the best wide receiver trio in the NFL right now. We do. Shepard got a lot of like draft hype that year too.
Yeah, he did. People loved him.
People were. I remember watching NFL Live, and they were picking him for a Rookie of the Year. Like that's what the Sterling Shepard hype was about. I wasn't into the draft like I was then. I was kind of like the people who listen to us. Like I'm not going to study these guys myself. I'm just going to listen to what people say. So Louis Riddick, really loved him. Now I don't really love Louis Riddick that much, but I do love Sterling Shepard. Did you guys hear what Shane said to Mayer after they picked Neighbors? Couldn't hear him. I didn't hear it. Did you hear it?
No. Oh man, were you guys disappointed that they didn't have the in the words of Bobby Skinner, a terrible
so I thought they would show
UDFA class.
I thought they would show that a little bit, right? Because that's like And because that's where it's like the scouts make their money, that's when they get to like have free reign a little bit and really get to like put their hands on team building, is calling all these guys and setting that stuff up. So
they acted like I was sitting there wondering, when did they go to Tommy's? Because after the draft is over, it's not done. They're signing UDFAs for a little while after that.
Well, probably 10:30, because Joe Shane walked in the next morning with 2 Gatorade lights, so he was obviously hungover the next morning.
That's how you know. That's how you know. So
you don't walk into work with 2 Gatorade lights if you're not hungover.
There had to be some suckers that had to stay back at the facility and still doing stuff. I don't know. That's my thought. Yeah,
again, you hear about that process and how it's like the scouts really get to take control of that a bit, but we didn't actually hear it. Someone said Joe turning down the Chargers. The Chargers offered something?
No.
Well, if he did, I'm glad he did, because they got the player they wanted without having to trade up. No camp questions. We do a lot of camp stuff. No camp questions.
I know where the Tommy's is. It's on route.
Oh, is that a chain?
Yes, it's
on. I didn't know that. I thought it was like a local establishment.
It's on Route 3. It's 5 minutes away from the stadium.
Are you getting paid by Tommy's?
No. I will. It is a goal.
Yeah, we should actually get Tommy's to sponsor the show. Tommy DeVito's. Yeah, people ask us some questions.
How's Graham Gano looked in camp?
I told Cameron we're not doing camp questions.
Oh, we're not doing camp questions. Okay.
Yeah. So again, this episode was just kind of like a feel-good episode. Like the other ones were like your head spinning, like trying to get all the information in. And this one was just like, yeah, we really love this guy. The only guy that they didn't do the we love him for was actually Tyler Nubin, where you could see they were noticeably like, oh God, we're leaving this offseason without a cornerback too. We're in a little bit of trouble in this spot. We've seen it in camp too. So
yeah.
The way that Chuck was drafted was wild, huh? No, it isn't wild. It should be the norm. It should be the norm, right? Think about like drafting for need. I want to talk about something. Right? And I could see if there's a list of this.
Are you going to pull up your 2022 draft notes?
No, I'm not. Although I could if I wanted to. I'm going to look up 3rd-round picks over the last 10 years. Andrew Phillips, nickel corner. He's early. Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver. I actually like that one. Josh Azudu, Cordell Flott, need an interior offensive line, need a corner. Aaron Robinson, we just said poured one out for him today. Matt Parrott, need a right tackle. Sam Beal, need a corner. Lorenzo Carter, need an edge. BJ Hill actually worked out, defensive tackle, taking 1 pick over Fred Warner though. Davis Webb, we got to have a QB to replace Eli Manning. Darian Thompson, remember that guy? Safety. I actually thought he should have stayed on the. I think Gettleman wrongly cut him for Curtis Riley. Owembagbe Odigizua. His brother is actually way better than him. Maybe you should wait for that. Jay Bromley, that guy's awesome, right? Demontre Moore. Ooh-wee. How many sacks did he have? A half? Jaron Hosley. Love him. Jarrell Jernigan. I forgot that Jarrell Jernigan went in the 3rd round. That's disgraceful, Jerry Reese. Jerry Reese's drafts were flat out awful. Yeah, so don't draft for need. Because guess what? Sometimes those needs stay a need because that player's not that good.
I agree. Great analysis.
Maybe we have to just bring back the freaking like the draft speech from 2022. Actually, no, it was 2023 where people were telling me we can't take a defensive tackle. We can't take a defensive tackle. He's not a perfect fit for the scheme. Well, guess what? Now Nacho is our starting defense. He's one of the historically, like the last 10 years he's been in the league, he's been like the worst pass rushing defensive tackle, and we don't have the same scheme. Would have loved to have. No, we didn't get a chance to draft Kalijah Cansey. But the point being, don't talk. Today's strengths are tomorrow's needs. Put that on the draft hoodie next year.
Who would you rather have, Brian Branch or Deontay Banks?
I mean, Brian Branch. Now that could change. That could change this year. But
who did you? Everybody, they were all on the board. Brian Branch or Joey Porter Jr.?
JPJ.
I would have gone Brian Branch. I just like him that much.
Yeah, I love Branch, dude. One of the smartest players, maybe the smartest player in the draft that year. So that, you know, that's where I'm at.
I don't know.
Which wife was hotter? My fiance
maybe.
said that Dable's wife was wearing the same outfit that she has, so I will say Brian Dable's wife because of the outfit alone. Great outfit.
Okay. Joe Schoen wearing a Don Bosco prep sweatshirt. I may call. I wonder if Joe Schoen's son. I don't think he's going to start. Sorry, I'm just presuming by looking at him, he's not that big. But I wonder if I will see Joe Schoen's son on the sideline because I may call a Don Bosco prep game or two this year.
You know, Joe Judge's son at first was like, this guy's a little scrawny. He's not going to be anything. And now he's like giant. He's like bigger than Joe Judge.
Not at Don Bosco anymore, unfortunately. At least
no.
I don't think.
Deila, NYG says it was kind of the same way when we took JPP. We didn't need him, but he was too much of a freak athlete to pass up on. Yeah, we have so much evidence of like guys that weren't needs that ended up contributing to, you know, pretty big wins. Have you ever heard of the Super Bowl? Relic said, Bobby, thanks for the Roten breakdown. What happened to Tank Top Tuesday? I don't know if we ever had a Tank Top Tuesday. We could implement that, but yeah, go check out the Van Roten breakdown. It came out the exact same time.
9 p.m.
Let's do, okay, what is the most surprising thing they showed? Whole series.
The fact, not even that they tried to trade up with the Patriots, but the fact that they showed how desperate they were to get to upgrade quarterback this offseason.
Yeah, that was, and they just put out their entire draft strategy last episode. Like my jaw was dropped at how much they showed last episode. What did you think of the use of analytics in the taking of Tyrone Tracy?
It's cool.
Yeah, that's a lie, Doug Analytics. We did get a single.
You got a sentence. You got a sentence.
It was the most bland sentence of the entire series. Like, would you trade it for May? He's like, if you believe in your guy, you got to be aggressive.
If you have conviction on a guy.
I didn't ask you your philosophy on trading up for quarterbacks. I asked, would you trade up for Drake May, Michael?
If you have conviction on a guy, you just got to do it.
It's like, okay, dude.
Thank you.
Okay,
And that was it for Mike.
Okay, CBS Sports, draft analyst. Thank you for that, Mike.
And that was it for the whole month. 5 episodes.
Do your thoughts on Shane change at all post Hard Knocks? So a lot of like the juicy stuff is kind of stuff that we knew a little bit, like the trading up for May. So it just kind of confirmed. The one thing is like it just confirms Shane is a draft for need type of GM, and that bothers me, especially for a guy whose drafts have been a little lackluster. That bothers me. But the rest of the stuff, like the way he deals with free agency, having like pretty hard outs, or walk away lines and not budging much off of that. That's something we like about him. Did a good job negotiating the Brian Burns stuff. So the most of the stuff with Shane, we had a good idea of.
Yeah, I think Joe Schoen is a good GM with all the process stuff. But
except for drafting for need.
I think he needs, and I think he does have a good team around him to help him with evaluations and scouting, and that's honestly how it should be. That's how it should be. The GM shouldn't be scouting 400, 500 players and then making the own board. It's a collaborative process. Clearly, the coaches are a huge part of it too, which it's not just Brian Daboll. Shane Bowen was brought in. They brought in Jerome Henderson. And there were rumors and the things that were coming out from the Gettleman era and the Shermer era and the Judge era that GMs and coaches clashed on personnel decision making. You have DeAndre Baker, who's taken in the first round as a man coverage corner when the defense coordinator at the time didn't even run a lot of man coverage and barely even ran press, and DeAndre Baker was a press man corner. So it seems like there's just good communication and there's an understanding with the coaching staff and the front office, which is great. But I think we didn't have any cameras or any insight into like the 2022 process, besides the fact that Joe Schoen had the first 4 rounds done, and the guys that he kind of personally got his hands on and talked to and went to those pro days or those top 40 visits, Joe Schoen basically drafted them. And now we're seeing like Josh Azudu, who is on the outs. Cordell Flott's situation is up in the air. So these last 2 draft classes, once Shane has got his people in the door, have felt a lot better.
Fair. Brandon Gray, hey Justin, Bobby, what did you think the Colts wanted to do if they traded 6? They probably draft Neighbors, right?
Neighbors. They wanted Neighbors.
Yeah. My Colts friend said 100% would be Neighbors. Okay. Why didn't you show the Bears offer a 3rd and 4th to trade it from 9 to 6? Well, they showed that last episode of like a deal they had made if the Bears were going to only if the Bears were going to trade it for a tackle. So I'm sure it got out at that point that the Bears were not going to would have drafted a wide receiver if they're, because they like Braxton Jones and they drafted Darnell Wright a year ago. So, All right, Justin, we can end it there. So I hope you guys enjoyed Hard Knocks. It was fun. We won't get to do this for over under 14 and a half years that we are doing anything Hard Knocks related. Because you think about it, they have in season, they have the training camp, and they have this. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. There's only a handful of teams that return coaches and don't make the playoffs every year. Over under 14 and a half years.
I'll go under.
I'm going to go over. I think signing up for this one first is going to buy them some grace. Like, we showed you guys way too much.
The other question is, are they even going to do this again? Like, is another NFL team going to sign up for this?
Yeah, I don't know. How long is Hard? I'm going to look that up right now because the Giants have never been on it. How long has Hard? I probably should have led Hard Knocks since. I don't even want to read this stupid AI overview because I'm against the robots. First aired in 2001, so it's been around for 23 years and we've never been on it.
No, but there's so many.
Everyone's saying under. It's over. I'm saying over as it's going to be over 14 and a half years before we ever do any Hard Knocks content again.
All right. But seriously, like this provided something to watch every Tuesday. It provided us an opportunity to chat for a half an hour on it, which is great because usually the month of July is, hey man, like, we're desperate for stuff and we're searching for stuff to talk about. And this was awesome for the deadest month of the year for football. It gave us once a show every single week. It gave us something to talk about. So this was awesome, and it did give us kind of affirmation, and we did learn some things about the organization. It was cool to see these cats up and close. We got to learn more about Dable, got to learn more about Shane, got to get annoyed at John Mara again, and then even all the people in the building that we like got to see them a little bit. So it was cool.
Chris Mara be in the next Hard Knocks for the Giants?
I mean, it's a morbid question because he may unfortunately pass away.
Well, no, I'm not asking in that sense, Justin.
Chris Mara.
Don't look up his age. I'm asking, do you think he's going to be part of like anything at that point?
I guess he's younger. He's on the
probably
younger
50 or something.
He's in his 22nd season with the Giants. Well, I mean, based on your thought process here, if you're going over 14 and a half years, Chris Mara who knows? Dave Gettleman once said, I could walk out of my house and get hit by a bus.
The funniest that I miss Gettleman quotes so much. The best one is like, what? Because they're like, they asked the night of the draft when they drafted Jones, like, when's the plan for him to start? Because of the Eli situation. He's like, I don't know. He's like, for all I know, I could walk out here and get hit by a bus. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could be dead. His press conferences were truly amazing. Can't believe that guy was our GM. We've handled it the right way by laughing at it because getting so angry over it, angry over his decisions. The people who got angry about his press conferences was like, you just got to accept this part and laugh at it.
He would have a 10-minute press conference, and there would be 2.5 minutes worthy of stuff that I would clip up and put together on a compilation, and it would be my favorite thing that I would do, and that's why I miss him. And even a fun little nugget is the beat reporters would really like when I would make those kind of videos where
they hated him,
and they would show it to each other of all the funny shit that he would do.
They hated him. All right, that's
a little too much. A little too much. They hated him.
Yeah, because he didn't like them. He just didn't. Yeah. All right, Remember, like him versus Kim Jones was just like it was such vitriol.
Hey, darling.
She had so much.
He was a little patronizing.
Yeah,
he's old school. He's
a little patronizing. That's that kid. All right.
Hey,
so we'll see you in like 2038 Hard Knocks review. So we'll be back for that. Justin's beard will be gray. I'll be, living off of some farm. And
how old will I be?
So 2038, that's 14 years from now.
I'll be 40 years old.
I'll be 46 years old.
That's messed up.
Hopefully Talking Giants is around for that. So we'll see you. We'll see you in 2038. Until then, let's go Big Blue. Watch the fucking Van Roten breakdown now. Until then, let's go Big Blue.